What's up, guys? Thank you, as always, for hitting this video. 3 quick things. Number 1, if you're not already subscribed, please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. 2, if you would like to see early ad-free releases of our episodes on Patreon, you can join Ooze Control via the link in the description below. And number 3, if you'd like to check out previous episodes of the podcast, that playlist is also listed down below. Now relax, enjoy.
Welcome to the Cinema Slime Portal, the podcast where we deep dive into film, nerd out on the details, and observe how cinema seeps into our collective psyche. I'm your host, and always, I'm joined by my... Wait, I gotta redo that. I'm not the host. What do I say? I say...
You're one of the 2.5 brothers.
Yeah. My name's Ren. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, my brother-in-law, Scott.
What's cracking, my peeps?
and my brother, Harrison.
Hello.
Every movie we cover is from a curated list and randomly picked based on our monthly theme. Right now, we are knee-deep in 90s cool kids. And just a reminder, if you're looking to jump straight into the breakdown, you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip to the main event. Today, we're heading to Neverland to revisit Steven Spielberg's 1991 classic, Hook. Do you guys have any icebreakers you guys want to talk about, or any movies we've discussed? Because I've got
I want to say I'm really sick, so I'm gonna be riding this mute button.
Man.
But like, if I let any coughs slip, I'm sorry. The good thing is they're digital coughs; they won't actually get you sick.
That's true. Well, I don't know. My face is really close to my mic. Actually, my headphones are going right into my ear, so when you cough, it's going to go right into my ear.
We'll fix it in post. It's all good.
I'll do my best.
It's all good.
Let's see. Honestly, I haven't watched a ton of movies. Jamie did. We sat down and watched Hook, the one we're talking about today, and he had a blast watching it. He also, unprompted by me, I don't even know how he knew this movie existed, but he came up to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie." And I was like, "Okay, we can do that." And so I was looking up the animated one that came out not too long ago, and he goes, "No, Dad, I want the 1981 Super Mario Bros." I was like, "Wait, what?" And so I pulled it up at IMDb, showed him the poster. He's like, "Yeah, that one." And I was like, "Where did this come from?" Okay, we could do that. Got it all set up. We built a little projector screen, and I set up the projector and got all ready to go. And he sat down and he watched that whole movie. I couldn't sit down and watch it with him. I had a bunch of stuff to do, but he sat down, watched the whole thing. And Scott, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but at the very end, I was like, "Hey, Jamie, how was the movie?" And he goes, "Dad, I did not like that movie." And I was like, no, Scott's going to disown you and never love you and never come to your birthday parties ever again.
I'll bet right when you said that, Scott just randomly had a tear just fall down his cheek.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start clapping and saying fairies. You know, I believe in fairies and all sorts of stuff. I'm like,
I believe in you, Scott. Super Mario Bros. Is a great film.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay for me to be objectively right that this movie is worth existing, and everyone else can be objectively wrong. I'm okay bearing this cross for the rest of my life.
I also had to explain to him that Bob Hoskins was in both movies, and Jamie was like, "Wait, what?" Like, because his accent and his characters are quite different in those films.
There's a lot of Bob Hoskins going on. Yeah,
I love Bob Hoskins.
Dude, he's awesome. He's an incredible actor.
Are his best? I mean, so there's Hook, Mario, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. What else is like he known for?
Let's
Those
see.
are the 3 that I've watched him in. I mean, I might have seen him in other things, but
Yeah,
he seems to be like one of those underappreciated, always good actors.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm on IMDb. His top 3 films that are like his known for. He's in a movie called The Long Good Friday. He's in a movie called Mona Lisa, and then Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, I haven't seen those other 2. Bob Hoskins Deep Dive, maybe?
Hey, honestly, I'm down. What was it? I was talking to Cameron about it, and he kind of tricks you because we're so used to seeing him in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he has like this just perfect American like noir detective like voice.
Yeah.
but he's actually British, and his voice for Smee is like his actual accent, and it like. I remember I watched a little interview of him with his just speaking normally, and I was like, that is so weird. Like, I'm just so not used to hearing him talk.
Well, like Cockney accent, like Smee, and the New York accent are both like very exaggerated. I almost feel like it might not be that big of a leap to go from exaggerated British to exaggerated English and be able to pass it off smoothly, because it's not like either of them have nuance, you know.
This is really weird, but he's dead, and I didn't like comprehend that until a couple days ago.
Yeah, I remember when he passed. I was like, "Dang, that sucks."
Well, what was it? He passed away, I think, very close to when Robin Williams passed away, if I'm recalling correctly, from just the dates I'm looking at.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna look really quick. I think they both died in 2014. Yeah, they both died in 2014. So pretty close to each other.
That sucks.
Well, I've been seeing reviews for Project Hail Mary. I haven't read any on purpose and stuff, but it seems to be people just really love the movie. And I've got like movie watching envy. And because I'm adulting, I haven't been able to go see it. And I don't think I'm going to be able to go to see it for a while. But like, that's one that I just really hope they did it right. People seem to say they did it right. The book, I read it to my kids, and the book was freaking incredible. So
yeah,
I've
heard nothing but good things.
Ryan Gosling is the right person as the main character. I hope it's good.
Dude, I watched Barbie last night, and every line that Ryan Gosling says in that movie made me laugh. He is so freaking awesome in that movie, and I just like held off on watching that movie till last night, and I was really surprised by his performance, and he's so funny. So yeah, now I want to see him in everything. I honestly not too big of a Gosling fan. He's just like kind of whatever, but I haven't seen a lot of his newer stuff. So yeah, I'm like, all right, I'm in. Let's do this.
I mean, the Notebook Gosling and Blade Runner 2049 Gosling are two different people.
See, I always think of, right when you say Ryan Gosling, I think of Remember the Titans, where he's just kind of like one of the football players. He's doesn't really stand out in that movie other than like he's handsome. So I don't really know. I'm a Gosling noob.
Gotta dive into the world of Gosling.
I actually genuinely thought La La Land was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like not my normal like MO for a movie, but that movie made me cry like 17 times. And I think about it all the time. It's a pretty slimy movie for me.
I think last night I decided that I'm going to watch that.
I haven't seen that one. I did see him in a movie called, what was it called? It was called Stuntman or...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh,
actually,
the Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy. You know, honestly,
I really loved it.
Like, the movie's fine. It's one of his lesser good movies as far as he goes. Like, he did a fine job or whatever. But, like, I wouldn't say that movie's going to age super great. I think it's one of those, like, yeah, that's a movie that he did and I enjoyed it. But it's not like, yeah, I gotta go back and watch The Fall Guy 20 times, you know?
Yeah. No, I get that. And then he was in the new Blade Runner. That was kind of another big one that he was in.
Yep. Freaking incredible.
Haven't seen that.
Yeah, La La Land, Blue Valentine, Drive. Oh,
Drive's
he was in
cool.
he was in a show called a movie called The Nice Guys with what's his name?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. I thought that was a pretty fun movie. I remember watching that one and enjoying it.
The best movie that I saw this week, I just have to talk about it just a little bit, or recommend it to you guys. I highly doubt either of you have seen it. Paul Thomas Anderson. Don't worry, don't be triggered. It's nothing like Magnolia. But I got around to watching Phantom Thread. Daniel Day-Lewis. Dude, I'm telling you, that is an incredible movie. His acting, I don't know what to say. Just if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. But it looks so boring, but it is so good. It's not boring.
What was it? Wasn't that Daniel Day-Lewis's last film? Wasn't that the one that he said this is my last one I'm doing? No.
No.
Okay, I thought I remember that. Maybe not. I'm looking at your letterbox. Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna spy on your ratings here. Did you watch F1 as well? Let's see. We have F1.
Yeah.
The Substance. You watched The Substance? Go you, man.
I did. Mind blowing.
Is that the freaky sci-fi movie?
Yeah, Demi
The
Moore.
Substance?
Yeah, you guys wouldn't like it.
I don't know if I'm brave enough to watch that.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't like it. That's body horror.
You'd have to force that on me in a cinema
Yeah.
slime, and I'd have to pretend that I liked it.
I wouldn't do body horror as a category for you guys, and I wouldn't put The Substance on that list either. I don't want to ruin you.
How else are we going to watch The Fly, though? I mean, it doesn't really fit on any other category.
Yeah, no, true. We need to watch The Fly for sure. But yeah, I just had to mention Phantom Thread. I loved it, and his wife in that movie. I gotta look up her name. Never seen her. She's had a ton of movies, but I didn't recognize her. Vicky Crepes.
Crips.
Incredible. Just top notch. And it's rated R, and I think there's one F word. There's no sex scenes. I don't know why it's rated R. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, what was it? Me and Jamie went and saw Hoppers in theater, and honestly, it was a pretty enjoyable film. Like, didn't really like hit me super hard as a Disney Pixar film, but I watched it and I was like, all right, that was a good meal. I feel good. But I will say, if like 20 years from now, when he's talking about childhood trauma movies, I won't be shocked if he mentions Hoppers, because holy crap, the ending of that movie is it's just so like, this is scary as hell. I mean, you got people like tearing their face off because it's a rubber mask, and then someone else wearing the rubber mask, and it's really scary. Like, I was sitting there watching it with him, and I just took random photos of these scary moments and just sent them to Nicole, and she was just like, "What the hell are you and Jamie watching?" It was pretty intense.
Have you guys seen Dune?
Dune, yeah. Me and Scott saw it together, actually.
Yeah, actually, Harrison, did I buy your ticket or did I buy Cameron's ticket? I was like, come watch this movie with me, and we went down to.
I think
we watched it in
Cameron's
IMAX
ticket,
or something.
yeah.
I think we watched it in IMAX at Bridgeport.
Yeah, we went to Bridgeport and we watched it there. From my recollection, I mean, I've only seen it once, and I'm interested to watch it again. I've read the graphic novel of it that covers basically what happens to the first film. And I feel like it's got some really cool and interesting ideas, and I thought the film was really well made. I'm not like super obsessed with the storyline, and I'm not like itching for it. Like, I haven't even seen part 2 yet.
Okay,
but
I have a question for
there.
you guys.
Yeah.
So when you went to the movie theater and you sat down, did you know that it was part 1, or did you think it was just one movie that covers the whole story?
That's a good question.
I remember them not advertising that it was part 1 of 3 or part even 1 of 2 until the very end of the movie. And I want to know if you guys remember that.
I did know, only because I read a thing like the day before I went and saw that in the theater. Okay, so Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 cover the first book. The one that's coming out this year covers book 2.
Okay, gotcha.
And then,
is there only 2 books?
No, there's like
no, there's
7,
like
I think,
or like
there's
12. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, that said, Paul Atreides as a main character is only in the first 3. Book 3 is like 1,000 years in the future, and it's like, what are the nth order consequences of what Paul has done, essentially, in the first 2 books. So, like, it's a really deep, really cool world. It's a really mean world. It's a brutal world. It's deep, and you can go as deep as you want, and it doesn't let go. Like, the lore itself, the way it's written, the way it's subtly written, the expansiveness behind it, and the psychological and theological implications and the warnings that he puts into his book, there's so much depth that, like, that can be your world, and you don't need other worlds. Like, it's that good. But it's also really dense and kind of impenetrable if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's the hard part about it. So I attempted to read the novel a couple times, and lots of times this happens so many times with me with books, where I'll read like probably a third of the book, and then I'll restart and read it and just read from the beginning again, because then I kind of understand what's going on. With Dune, it's really tough because they throw out a lot of names and a lot of like just words that you don't even know what they mean exactly until you've like read the whole book, and then you got to go back and read it again so you know what they're actually talking about.
It's
yeah,
indigenous terms for peoples that have existed for thousands of years, but they're not real. You know,
exactly.
It's hardcore. You know, I kind of I've made this parallel before, but it's like the Lord of the Rings series is really, really, really deep, and there's more lore and history in Lord of the Rings than anything else, because that's what Tolkien did. Like the fact that there are 4 books at all is impressive because he wrote them basically across like his entire life, just 4 books. But he was like a linguist and a professor, and he just kind of like dinked around with this fake world. He invented this fantasy world for his whole life. So then you've got like compilations of histories and stuff like that. And so you go and read like the Silmarillion or something because you want to know more about the history of age 1 or something like that instead of age 3. And it's like reading the Bible, except it's not real. So you're like, how deep do I want to care about this? And if you do, it's perfect.
Totally.
And if you don't, it's kind of like, yeah, I think I'll just watch the movies and it'll be good.
Yeah. That's one thing I've been running into a lot lately. Actually, is I'll come across something like, let's say, Lord of the Rings, or like Warhammer 40K is another big thing that I look at it and I'm like, this looks really amazing, and I bet I'd fall in love with it, but I'd have to give up a lot of my current hobbies to actually devote enough time into this to understand what's going on and to really enjoy it. And I like my current hobbies, so I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you can get so deep in it, and then you just kind of realize you're just reading the ramblings of an insane person who just like thought of like it's impressive, but like you're just like, wait, why am I?
Hey man,
Because it's so cool.
I feel judged, Ren. I feel judged.
Hey, I'm just speaking for
No,
myself.
but I will say the benefit of having watched the first Dune movie is that Dune 2 already exists, and so you can finish the story without having to wait a year or 2.
Honestly, I know. I saw Dune in the theater, and like I don't remember it, but honestly, like rewatching it, I was like kind of just bored. But knowing that there's 2 more movies, I'm like, all right, I need to like get the basics down. I need to refresh my memory, and I'll see 3 in theaters. There's gonna be a lot of movies that I'm gonna see in the theater this year. This year is stacked.
We haven't had a
It's
good stacked
gonna be cool.
blockbuster year, like genuinely big, high quality production, I think since COVID. Like I'm pretty excited that we're slowly recovering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like the lockdown COVID like excuse is like finally over with. Like everything's kind of reset as much as it can be with the streaming world and all that stuff.
Dude,
Like,
whoa.
And movies,
yeah, I think cinemas are coming
movies like there are movies that are in production and coming out that were not even started in production until after COVID had calmed down and people were becoming, like sane again. So yeah.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I just realized that was only like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a haze of 6 years, man.
I don't believe you. You guys are lying.
No, I remember that because we bought our house just before COVID hit. Like literally
Really?
like 6 months before COVID started.
I asked Hawkins, my oldest, he's 7 now, and I asked him if he remembers the playgrounds being closed and stuff, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Ah, cool. Good, don't remember it."
Wow.
Yeah.
That can be a footnote in history for you. I'm fine.
Oh my god. I remember driving in my car for like 2 hours straight to like different basketball hoops and like schools, just trying to find a hoop that wasn't like barred off, or like they would like screw on like a plank of wood on the top so no one could play basketball anywhere, and like the gyms were closed. Dude, I went nuts. Like I didn't know, I got into running. But like I was like, I can't shoot a hoop alone. Like, what is this? That was madness. No fun. And one important note, an update I need to state is that my rating for Point Break was a 4, and it's now a 4.5. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. I
knew it
share
would.
that with you guys.
I knew it would.
You're right.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm telling you.
I rated low on purpose.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's better to come up than go down.
Is this just so you could have an excuse to bring up a past episode in the current episode, like cross promoting? Is that what's going on?
That's what it's all about.
Kinda, yeah.
That's what it's all about, man.
Go back and listen to Point Break. Everyone.
But you know what you should do? You should stick around because we're about to talk about Hook. That's what we're going to be doing.
Oh, the podcast's not over?
Let's do it right now. No.
No, we still got tons to talk about.
We're not like a really loose movie news podcast.
Dude, we're on a strict schedule. Can we move ahead? Come on, man. We got an agenda. All right. All right, let me read the intro. What this movie is all about, guys, because no one's seen this. I got to explain it. Peter Banning, a workaholic corporate lawyer who trades in his cell phone for pixie dust, discovers he has completely forgotten his magical past. But when his old nemesis, Captain Hook, kidnaps his children, a tiny, fierce Tinkerbell drags a drunken, skeptical, middle-aged Peter Pan back to Neverland. To save his family, Peter has to lose the suit, survive the skeptical Lost Boys, and reclaim his happy thought to remember how to fly. Ultimately, by reclaiming his mantle as the legendary Peter Pan, he realizes that his greatest adventure isn't fighting pirates, it's being a father. This is Steven Spielberg's 1991 film, Hook. And I feel like we all love this movie, but technically this is from your list, Scott.
Is this from my list?
I would love to know your history.
I thought it was from Harrison's list, but I'll claim it. I love this movie.
I wanted to put it on the list so
we all
badly.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's the only 90s cool kid movie I could think about. But you literally, we finished the podcast and you put up your list and I was like, God damn it, Scott.
That's because I had this list made 6 months ago. I just literally copied and pasted it and was like, done. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Sold.
There are two movies that I was like the 90s cool kid when I thought of. It was Terminator 2 with John Connor as the little brat kid and Rufio. They're the only 90s cool kids I could think of. And Harrison, thank you doing your research for finding out that is true. There are no other 90s cool kid movies. Every other one is reject kid that gets made fun of by a cool kid. Including Point Break, for that matter.
Yes.
It's true.
So it's hard not to like this movie in general. Watching it through a critical lens, I was able to see some of its flaws, and they're not insignificant. Some of them don't matter. Some of them make me hate the movie a little more when I focus on it. But in general, this was another freak. We're a podcast of dads that love being dads, and made me cry for dad reasons.
Yes.
So I'm excited to talk with you guys. I pulled out some really cool history on the movie.
Oh, good.
I've got Jungian psychology I want to throw at you guys for this one, from the original story and the conclusion of Hook. It's pretty cool. And guys, this is really cool. I found the history of insult wars in the 90s, and I want to talk about it because it matters.
Dude.
It matters.
Yes, thank you so much. Because honestly, that scene where they're insulting each other in the dinner one, I'm like, I think this might be the most important scene in this whole film. I think it's a really big deal.
And no spoilers, but we got Sandlot on the list for next week, and also has an insult scene.
That's true.
Oh, nice.
It's a good one. It's a really solid one. But yeah, so here I'll jump into mine. Man.
If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, we encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncut, uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon-exclusive episodes, as well as Q&As, video clips, and access to our entire film catalog. It's a lot of fun and a nice way to say thanks for the cost of a cup of coffee every month. Now, back to the show.
I think this movie was a really formative movie for me as a kid. I remember watching this and I remember reenacting scenes from this. When he jumps up on the table during the food fight and then Rufio throws that coconut at him. I remember reenacting that and having Cameron throw me a stick and I'd cut the coconut in half, and I felt so badass when I was younger. No, I found this movie it's so magically wonderful. And like you said, Scott, there's problems. And honestly, when I sat down and watched it with Jamie for the first watch, I was just full of nostalgia and just everything was so perfect about it. And then this morning I finished watching it a second time. And on the second watch, it's yeah, I could see some of the problems in here. I don't really care about them, to be honest, but I could definitely see them. And especially, I was reading up a couple things about the film and about Steven Spielberg's feelings on the film. And he was talking about how he's yeah, honestly, I'm proud of the beginning, I'm proud of the end, but that section in the middle, I really feel like I really couldn't get a handle on the whole thing. He said multiple times, he's honestly, overall, I'm a little disappointed in the film, and I think it could have been better. I could see that as I was watching it, but kind of like I said, it's one of those things like, it's fine. I don't really care. I still love it. I still love this movie.
I'm like probably like both of you guys. I'm super grateful that I saw this as young as I was. Like I think I was 3 when this came out, and I always remember it being on at like a grandma and grandpa's house, our house. We had multiple VHS copies of this, and I'd be curious, like if you could like take a census, like a questionnaire, would almost guarantee that like the rating of this movie is an absolute tandem with how old you were when you first saw it. Yeah, like the older you are, the worse.
I think what's really interesting is when you look at the Rotten Tomatoes ratings, the critic rating is bunk. It's like 30%. It's
like 32.
So it's like really low, like Rotten Tomato category. And the audience rating is like 87.
Yeah.
No, honestly, yeah,
Totally.
even IMDb has it at like a 6.8, which is pretty rough for a movie, actually. And I'm just like, look, it's got problems. It's not that bad, guys. Like, come on. You can bump it up to a 7.4 and everyone's going to be happy about that.
Yeah, I think one of the main strengths of the story in this movie, though, is that it captures the imagination of whatever child is watching this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of us want to grow up when you're young, and it's kind of this like weird gray area of your future if you are even old enough to think about that when you watch this. But like when you think about Peter Pan, the eternal boy, and like what would happen if he actually grew up, like I just love that Spielberg heard this or got this idea and he somehow made this movie work.
Mm-hmm.
As janky as it is, you know, we talked about some flaws, but like I can't believe that it works as well as it does. That's pretty amazing.
Dodger told me that my 4-year-old told me that this is his favorite movie he's ever seen, ever.
Yeah,
in his entire life.
Dude, just for everyone else, Scott brought his boys. We were at this campsite over at the coast, and I was asking about Hook. He's like, I loved it. And then I kind of like overheard them talking, but I heard Dodger say, "Good night, Neverland."
Yes.
I was like, yes, that's so awesome.
What a great moment. Yeah, I'll tell you what, watching this as an adult and kind of really digesting what's actually happening in the movie, because I think as a kid, it's just this magical, adventure that you're watching. You're not really thinking about the details of it. But when I was watching it this time, I was like, okay, wait a minute. So Peter used to live here in Neverland. All these lost boys around him, they were like best friends, living together, surviving together, and he was their leader. He leaves and comes back and nothing's changed except him. And like that scene where that little boy is like stretching Robin Williams' face and like putting a smile on there, moving his nose and everything.
There
I was
you
like,
are, Peter.
Yeah, yes. No, honestly, I was watching. I was like, okay, I'm crying just a smidge here, but it was just so cool for him to do that. And all of a sudden he sees like, oh my gosh, there you are. I didn't know who you were, but now I know who you are. I don't know. It hit me pretty hard, and just the circumstance of the whole thing. Because the other thing I'll note, this movie gets really weird the longer you think about everyone's ages and how long they've actually been like alive. You're like, wait a minute. So the grandma is hitting on Peter, but Peter married her granddaughter, and wait a minute. So how old is he? And she's 90, and like it's kind of this weird blend in there, but it's fine.
Okay, I gotta say, like this setup for this movie is really crazy. I've never seen it pulled off before. Like, if you think about it, this is a fantasy world that is like deeply lodged in everybody's like cultural psyche in the UK and America. Like, Peter Pan is deeply significant for our culture. Robin Williams crosses over into the other world and comes back. That's done all the time. Heck, even both Mario Brothers movies do that. It's like, go to the fantasy world, you come back, and part of the fantasy world comes with you. There's like a live action Winnie the Pooh movie that came out a couple of years ago that does the same thing, where it's like, oh, the 100 Acre Woods is a real place, and look, Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore, they come into the real world and stuff. Like, this is a thing, but all of them fail at the realism test. And this movie somehow makes it make sense. It's like, Wendy was real. She really went to Neverland. She came back and told these stories because she's a little girl, and their neighbor, the author of the original Peter Pan wrote them down and published it. And so then Peter Pan coming in as this grown-up, or Peter Banning as this grown-up Peter Pan, doesn't know, and he's just like, Wendy has this cultural legacy. She adopted a bunch of people, you know, she foster parented and stuff like that. She's fostered hundreds of kids, and each one, you know, it's like they grounded Wendy in history, in this fake history, and she's this old lady now that's about to pass on. And it's all about like enshrining her legacy in the real world that she got. And it was like, how did they make me believe for real that this was a real place and not like it was an exaggerated version? It's exactly what she said it was, but it's also very real and grounded too. And it's like Spielberg somehow captured that no other movie has done.
You just talking about that gave me a memory. I distinctly remember there's a scene at the end where they're doing their sword fight, and Hook's got Pan like pushed down on a table, and he says something along the line of like, you know, this is just a dream, right? You're gonna wake up as Peter Banning, you know, you're living your corporate shill life and, you know, ignoring your kids and hating everything about you, right? And I remember as a kid that made me go like, wait a minute, what? Like, this isn't a real place? And it kind of confused me. And it's like, no, but Wendy's a real person and her stories are actually true and all this stuff. And I don't know, that just, you talking about that made me think of that memory.
Yeah, the part that kind of throws that all off too is because I'm like, oh, it was a dream, but then he still has Toodles marbles.
Yeah.
So I don't
I
know.
lost my marbles.
I wanted to say, like, I love everything until they go to Neverland is like, I think it was like 20 to 30 minutes.
Gosh, with the hook
freaking love
scratched
it.
along the wall all the way up to the kids' room. It's like,
that
that
was
is so good.
I wrote down, I was like, this literally feels like a horror film for like
Oh yeah.
a couple minutes. When they come home, I love this scene where Robin Williams, he's kind of like half drunk, kind of like joking with the driver. And then the shot is through the broken window. And then he slowly looks up. And then, yeah, like you said, you see the scratches down the hallway. And then they find Lisa or
Yeah.
whatever. And she's just like freaked out. And she's like frozen in fear on the stairs. They check the beds. I love that part.
Yeah,
That's so
it's super
cool.
intense. And and also the scene when the kids actually get kidnapped, like their blankets like shooting straight up, not getting pulled off, but going straight up, and then that like green glow. I'm just like, this is terrifying. Like genuinely, really dang scary.
Really good. Okay, when I'm a kid, I totally identify with the kids. Now as an adult, I identify with Robin Williams mostly. But I never realized how great of a performance that Jack and Maggie gave in the movie. Dude, I think, like, I was like, especially now that I have kids, Cash is kind of like around the same age as Jack, I'm assuming. That's amazing to be a kid actor and to be that good. And like, he cries in one scene, he gets mad, he's smashing the clocks. I was really impressed with him. But Maggie is like my favorite part of this movie now. She's so funny. And there are a few, like, I'm looking at her filmography. She's in one movie, and that movie is called Hook.
Yeah.
She's not an actor. And I think that Spielberg is kind of genius for having at least one of the kids just like be completely genuine. But there are multiple times where all it does is show Maggie's like reaction, and there's no way she's acting.
Yeah.
Like it's a genuine reaction.
She's got real eyebrows. Real grumpy eyebrows.
Yeah, she
what
does.
the heck?
Yes. Yeah. But okay, so a few things. Next time you watch it, you need to pay attention to her reactions. One of my favorite ones is when Robin Williams gets angry on the phone.
Dude.
He's like, just shut up. And it shows her, and she looks around. She's like, I think Robin Williams freaked her out when they did that.
I'm telling you, right after that scene, right after they said cut, you know, Robin Williams went up to those kids and was like, I am so sorry.
Yeah, so sorry.
I'm telling you, I literally wrote down, was like, I do not like mad Robin Williams. Like, I do not. I did not like that.
I saw that scene and I immediately like ducked my head in shame because I did that to my kids like 2 days earlier.
Totally.
So like
everyone's done that.
like context, like the past year and the past 6 months in particular for me and my family have been extremely stressful. And it's just been this slow creep of just like the back pressure is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I've just been snapping more and more and more and more. And, you know, it's that slow slide into being a total ass as a dad. And I've just genuinely been treating my kids pretty poorly. And I put this movie on and I just was like, I'm a horrible person.
Oh,
I'm
Scott.
I'm Hook and I'm bad Peter Banning. And I was like, I have to change because this cannot keep going.
I don't want to be Peter Banning. I get that.
Well, dude, there are movies that just have those truth in them, and dude, I felt exactly the same way as you.
Though I'll say this, I was watching that scene, I was like, dude, it's a freaking mobile phone. Go in the other room. Like, I don't know. I was just watching. I was like, I feel like you could get up and just walk out. I don't know. Me personally, whenever I get a phone call, I almost have to like go in a separate room. I don't know what it is. It's a weird psychological thing, but
I wrote this down, but in the beginning, he answers his phone in the freaking Peter Pan play going on. I was like, okay, this is 1990, 1991. Like, this was before cell phone etiquette. Like, people didn't know that. Like, they didn't know what to do. And I think we had this unrealistic expectation that everyone would just, like, freeze or be quiet because I'm on an important phone call. Anyways.
That's so funny.
I feel like, now I think we're a little more aware of it.
Yeah, we're a little more aware of it, but then you get people who walk around with, you know, talking to their phone on speaker and they're like, why are you listening to my conversation?
Yeah.
Also, too, back then, only like really successful, like high earning people had cell phones.
Yeah.
So it's
Good
almost
point.
like a flex. You're like, oh, let me take this. Let me take
On
this.
my
And it's like,
mobile.
oh, he makes good. Yeah, that guy makes a lot of money.
Okay, speaking of cell phones, okay, that scene where they do that like quick draw with their cell phone, I was like, this is the stupidest, like dorkiest, like insane thing I've ever watched. I was like, what was that?
Wait, you don't do that?
I don't do that, Scott. I really don't.
Oh my gosh.
The problem is,
Wait, am I the crazy one?
Maybe.
Am I the crazy one?
You just, I could see you walking downtown and you just square up against somebody. The problem is our phones aren't flip phone anymore. You just pull it right out of your pocket, right to your ear. So the suspense isn't there anymore.
Okay, really quick. The scene that's occurring on the TV behind you, Ren. It's the boo box. The boo box.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dude.
I'm assuming everyone knows this trivia, but you can
This
tell me.
trivia, I gotta drop it. That's not a dude. That attractive man with that giant beard, that's Glenn Close. And it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's one of the weirdest things.
No,
ever that she's
it's
ever
more
done.
just like okay, how did I feel like Glenn Close just like was walking on set and was like, yeah, I could do that. Why not? Like, I don't know. Like, I almost can't see them having a meeting like, okay, we're gonna have this scene where they stuff a guy into a box and put scorpions in there. I think we should hire Glenn Close to do it. You know, like I just can't see it being a purposeful thing. I feel like it's almost an accident. But
And the boo box?
Yeah.
Did the boo box traumatize you guys? I've thought about the boo box
Absolutely.
my whole life. The boo box is a thing.
Absolutely.
I've never been put in a boo box, and especially not with scorpions. But I think about the boo box a lot, guys. The boo box is scary.
Yeah.
The boo box.
So the question here is, okay, what about the boo box? Because for me, what the scary part of the boo box for me was just being in the box. The scorpion part, every time I see it, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you could just smash the scorpion and you'd be fine. But but being in the box, that's the part that wigs me out.
You can't touch a scorpion. You'll die if you touch a scorpion. They're poisonous and pointy.
That is a very good point.
There's no way
you smash them
to
And they
stop
have
a
armor.
scorpion if it's near you.
And they have armor.
Yeah, for me, I remember like getting genuinely sad, like imagining doing that to someone mixed with the claustrophobia of it all. I just remember I hated that scene when I was a
Okay,
kid. I
now
hated
then
that.
let's contrast that to the scene where Hook is shooting a target or something like that, and right behind it is this pirate.
Oh yeah.
And he just shoots the pirate and then he falls backwards.
Yeah.
Why is that
Yeah,
hilarious and the boo box terrifying?
Well,
Yeah.
because it's the way the pirate falls. He's just standing there, his arm crossed. He shoots the gun and goes through Peter's checkbook, and then he just like slumps over, and it's just, I don't know, it's just the comedic timing of it that I think hits. Same with when he shoots the guy who's stealing second during the baseball game, and everyone's like, "Oh, like what the hell?" And he's like, "Oh, come on, bad form." God,
bad form.
Yeah, God, baseball's violent. You know, he sits down.
That's funny.
Oh, this movie's funny.
So good. It's so good.
Off of the Glenn Close really weird appearance of this movie. So apparently, like, the lore around the film was just like this grand set piece, whether it was like in the pirate town or in the Lost Boy village or whatever. But there was all these other movies being filmed around the studio. So they would invite all these actors, which kind of leads to a lot of these other cameos. So I have a list of some of them. But
Oh, this is cool. I didn't know this.
so we got Glenn Close in the Boo Box. Phil Collins also stars. He's the police investigator after the kids are taken. David Crosby, who famously, me and my boy say this all the time. I don't know why, but he goes, "Save me, Daddy." That's David Crosby of Crosby, Stills and Nash. Jimmy Buffett is the shoe stealing pirate.
It's so good.
Gwyneth Paltrow. This isn't really a cameo, but Gwyneth Paltrow is young Wendy, and she's
I clocked that one.
Peter.
Peter.
Tony Burton. And if you don't know the name Tony Burton, he's Apollo Creed's trainer in Rocky. He's he's like the black pirate in the background, but he's like mean mugging
All the time.
during a scene when, I was like, I know that face. I don't know where, but I was excited to find out who he was. Tinkerbell drops fairy dust on this couple that's kissing, and they start like spinning and floating. That is George Lucas and Carrie Fisher.
I did not.
So weird.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I know Carrie Fisher was brought in to rewrite some of Julia Roberts' Tinkerbell lines to give her a little bit more like original Tinkerbell strong woman sass. But I didn't know she was involved any other than that.
It was. I was reading up that production for this was a little rough. Especially when it comes to Julia Roberts. Apparently she was going through like a divorce, not a divorce, but she like canceled her wedding with Kiefer Sutherland, and then she like ran away to Ireland or something.
No, she left him standing at the aisle.
Oh,
or at
jeez.
the pulpit or whatever.
Yeah,
And then
she was getting slammed in. Okay, so it was right after Pretty Woman like peak fame, and that's why she was cast. You know, she was one of the people that was in the running, but she was the most popular and the like most attractive for the role. And then during filming, she went through the tabloid destruction around Kiefer Sutherland. So it was not a very happy time for her.
All that being said, though, her performance, like, it's kind of like cringy, but like she does a good job, and like her reactions, like she's like laughing and like, I don't know, she's got some comic relief to it. I want to give her some props because everyone shits on her.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got some good moments in this, but there's like, the big one for me was the scene where she turns into a normal sized person. Apparently she demanded that, and like, you have to write a scene where I actually get to talk to him as a real person or whatever. And that whole scene was just kind of like,
Yikes.
okay, like. So I really like this film, but I feel like there is a handful of scenes where you're like, I feel like this either didn't need to be in here. It could have been edited down better. It could have just moved a lot smoother. I feel like there's a handful of those scenes that you're just like, eh.
So the reason that she wanted to have like an on-set actual interaction was because the entire rest of the movie she was green screened by herself. She wasn't in the movie with anybody else, and it was not a good time for her to be alone, obviously. So that was why she pushed and demanded. I'm sure she was. I mean, she famously got the nickname Tinker Hell, so she was probably a total joy to work with. But I think my favorite quote from Spielberg about this is that he, I think very diplomatically and very honestly, because of Julia Roberts is not a bad person, right?
Yeah.
Like he says, it was just an unfortunate time to work with her. And I think that captures it well. Like everyone's got a really shitty time in their life, and this just happened to be Julia Roberts. I do question her role in the script. Like, why was she changed from the jealous, spicy nymph to in the original Peter Pan story to the like mothering, I don't know, fantasy wife. Like that was kind of a weird like character shift that the rest of the characters didn't have. I don't know. I feel like her character, her a little bit as an actress, but her character I think is the weakest link in the story itself. But even that, I'm like, well, somebody had to be the heart. So I guess it was going to be her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little strange because like when you think about her character, it's like, okay, so she was the one who came and brought Peter to Neverland when he was a child. Brought him there and like in a sense kind of watched over him, maybe even raised him a little bit. And then she ends up like falling in love with him, and then she ends up being, you know, staring through the glass watching him grow up and, you know, get married and have kids and everything. And then yeah, I don't know. I think her character was just a little messy throughout this whole thing. Like, I feel like there wasn't a really strong direction for her.
Yeah. So you talked about the weirdness. So you have Tinkerbell who raises him, and then as he's like still young, he visits Gwyneth Paltrow, kisses her while she's sleeping. She sees that. So there's this like invisible love triangle. And then you have Wendy. Like, why did you let him kiss your daughter while she's sleeping? It's
also
really strange.
and also Wendy, who's now an old lady, is in love with Peter as well. Like, you know,
yeah.
Everyone's just in love with Peter, basically.
Who doesn't love Robin Williams?
It's true.
Yeah, true. So when this movie came out, I just remember like, oh, Maggie Smith is like the oldest woman on earth. And it blows my mind that she passed away 2 years ago.
Okay, so first off, that's incorrect. She has not passed on. Don't you dare say that again. And also,
corrected.
Also, she has never been young. She has always been the oldest human on Earth, and it's perfect. I don't want her young. I want her to be Professor.
Actually, okay, so she's been in like 100 movies, and I looked at a picture of her when she was like 30, and I was like, what? I can't even like, I don't even recognize who this person is. It's so funny.
It's funny because she was like in her 50s when they filmed this one. I believe she was around there, and they aged her up to hit her 90s. And I remember seeing her when she first came down the stairs. I was like, wait, that's how she looks now. I was like, this is so
straight
weird.
up.
I was like, wait a minute. So they just aged her up perfectly, basically.
That's good foresight. This is what you're going to look like when you're 90.
No, so another thing about this film is so all of the scenes that were boring as hell when I was a kid actually were like, oh, like as an adult, these like really hit harder. Like the one I'm thinking of is actually the one with Wendy when they're at that ceremony because they're opening up that wing in the hospital for her, and then Peter's giving that speech, and then everyone stands up because they're all foster kids of Wendy. I was like, dang, that hit pretty hard. And even like the scene where like Maggie's like singing that nursery rhyme, I remember as a kid just being like, oh my gosh, let's move on. Like,
so she's sitting there going, somewhere out there.
Guys, stop. I'm going to try. Stop.
The pale moonlight.
So Red, did you watch this with Knox?
Hey, everybody, just popping in real quick. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, that would really help us out a lot. But either way, let's get back to the show.
Because I thought of him.
Yeah.
Okay, so how hard did he cringe when the mermaids came up and saved Peter from drowning and kissing him or like breathing in his mouth?
Yeah, he was like, this is weird.
I was watching it and I was like, I remember cringing at this when I was younger. And then I thought of Knox and I was like, I bet he just hated every second of this scene.
Yeah, it was fun watching this in high definition too, like for the first time, because I was noticing so many things that you just don't notice on VHS. I wrote down a few of them. Okay, the mermaid scene. Literally, it's in a swim pool. Like you can see the edges of the pool and like the super fake looking like seaweed and stuff. I was like, that looks really bad. But yeah, basically all the big set pieces, if you just look off to the side, it's just like it's just not well done.
They filmed it at Disneyland.
Yeah, literally. In the last scene, after the crocodile kills Captain Hook, Tinkerbell takes Jack and Maggie, and it's like super janky, like blue screen, and it shows Jack with Maggie, but the actor who plays Maggie that's not her. Like if you look at it, it's like a blatant stand-in. She's like way thinner and like looks funny, but you have to rewatch it. It's so bad.
I'll pull that up today.
Make a short with it because it's so funny. Also, just a few things you just don't notice. There's a close-up shot of Robin Williams' face when Tinkerbell first visits him, and it shows these like ink footprints on his shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very obviously like hand drawn. Like they don't look realistic
Oh,
at
yeah.
all. This isn't related to the HD part, but one thing I didn't ever notice this, but when he's going through his memories of his mother, when he's like in the carriage and he's about to like roll down the hill, there must have been some disconnect or some rewrite or something. But in the story, he's like, "Yeah, all the kids used to laugh at me, so I ran away." And I'm like, "You didn't run away. You didn't like. You're a freaking." Like brand new, you're a baby.
Yeah.
Like you don't have friends making fun of you. It's so weird. It's just like this weird disconnect in the story. But
That's
that
funny.
part still kind of got me.
Well, I wonder if
when you see the baby laying there in the rain, I don't know. I hate that part's still powerful.
Yeah, so that scene in particular, he's like laying there in this very stark, like perfectly laid out scene, the carriage tipped over, he's in the middle of a spiral in the middle of the rain and it's all dark. I was like,
Yeah.
did they just bring in Tim Burton to plan out this one scene for this movie?
I love that
Co-directed.
so much. Oh my gosh. No, yeah, honestly, yeah, I agree. I kind of caught that where it's like, wait a minute, but he's a kid and he says he ran away. I don't know if it's like a psychological thing where it's like, oh, Peter blames himself for being abandoned by his mother when she literally could have just reached out and been like, oh my gosh, the carriage of my baby is leaving.
At the same time, I do like the idea that, you know, it's implied that there's this little baby that's looking up at what being an adult means and goes, nope. And he just like yeets out of there.
There's also a funny detail that like the mom is sitting there with one of her girlfriends and she's like, yeah, he'll go to college one day and he'll be successful. And then it like rolls away and like she doesn't think to like look down the hill and she lost her baby. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, no, it's really strange because it's like, okay, so her baby like rolls down the hill, crashes, she doesn't go get it, and then like the next scene is like, yeah, and they just had another kid basically and forgot about me. I'm like, these are terrible people. Like this is so bad.
There are aspects of this that I love. So it's very like Big Fish, like, you know, it's like you just kind of ignore it because it makes for the story to work in like a fairy tale. And that's how fairy tales
like
in
that.
general are. And, you know, Tim Burton is really good at just building entire worlds where you can just let go. But Spielberg does not do that, right? That's not Spielberg's style. So for them to have that in here, it fits the Peter Pan vibes, but it's still like such a grounded Peter Pan story that it's weird, but it also fits. It's the clash that this whole movie is.
I want to talk about the set pieces just for a second. I was looking up some interviews with Spielberg about this film, and he mentioned, I kind of talked about it. He liked the beginning and the end, kind of the middle he wasn't sure about. And he was talking about how he's like, yeah, I think what happened was I couldn't grasp the centerpiece of this whole film. And so I just really went hard on the set pieces and just threw everything I could at it. And as I was watching this film, I remember writing down, I was like, man, this movie could have been in our extras category that we had a couple months ago because there is so much going on. There is a ton of extras in this film. The set pieces are huge and ginormous. And it's really weird that when you were bringing up the fact, like, yeah, when the mermaid scene was going on, it's obviously in a swimming pool. On my second rewatch, I was watching it. I was like, wow, you're right. Like there's so much going on in these scenes, but you could see on the outside of it that it's like, yeah, this is a set piece. Like it doesn't feel like a real place. And so, yeah, there is kind of this like mixture in the film that just not everything's like clicking correctly to make it like this really perfect film.
This movie was nominated for a few Oscars, and I wanted to go through this, but it was nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Visual Effects, which is kind of funny, Best Makeup, Best Original Song for When You're Alone, which is the song that Maggie sings like on the when she's just solo after she gets separated from Jack. And I couldn't even believe this, but you know, I listed all the nominations. What was not nominated was John Williams' score for the movie.
Oh, that's criminal.
That's insane to me. Yeah, dude, the score is like the top 3 best things about this movie.
Oh yeah,
by far. It's nostalgic. Once you hear it, you immediately know it. And yeah, that's a crime. It should have at least been nominated. I just find that amazing.
I find it interesting how, like, John Williams has a couple of different vibes. You know, he's got his big brass vibe. He's got his more like magical vibe and stuff. And this movie definitely falls into that magical vibe. He also composed the music for Harry Potter, and you can tell, right? Like the and stuff like that, and the not the tambourines, but the like. What are those percussion instruments?
Wait, is it a marimba?
Yes,
The xylophone?
in that area, yeah. There's the one that's actually metal has a specific name that is not a marimba or a xylophone. But yes, I feel like I should know that, but I wasn't a band nerd, so I was other kind of nerds. Listening to this soundtrack and getting the like, yeah, this works. This feels magical to me, and I'm wondering how much of that is I've heard John Williams compose magical pieces and now I associate it with magical things, or John Williams was just a freaking genius and he knew what magical songs needed to sound like, and therefore it makes it magical. Like, I don't know. It's John Williams. He's just God tier.
I had a note here that made me really happy, but this is a secret Christmas movie. Not because of the snow, but the snow mixed in with the baseball. It's the Santa series for like the finals for the baseball game that Jack plays in. I was like, that qualifies. I mean, kind of does.
By the way, I really like how when Jack goes up to hit, his coach is like, "Don't look at me, look at the ball. Come on, Jack, one time, just do it one time." Like, I don't know, I could, for some reason, I'm just like, oh, okay, so Jack isn't actually a good batter, apparently.
When he gets struck out, there's a quick shot of the coach and just his like disappointment. He just looks down. I was like, oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've let down a coach.
I've seen that.
I've let a coach down once or twice in my life.
Oh my gosh.
It hurts.
Well, I think it even hurts more that like when Peter is like, "Oh yeah, hey, grab the tape recorder and go record my kid's game." The guy shows up like literally 10 seconds before the whole game's over. I'm just like, man, Peter, you like seriously dropped the ball. You couldn't even like fake it.
Okay, so I want to talk about the exact opposite. Everyone rags on Julia Roberts, but Robin Williams, obviously, I think Robin Williams was cast extremely well because this isn't his normal character. You know, his normal character is the Mrs. Doubtfire or Aladdin or the genie, you know, that kind of thing. And he's just by default extremely over the top and really funny stand-up comedian that just, you know, the directors hire him to just let him go and be Robin Williams. That's not who he plays in this role. But I think the magic of him being cast in that role is that that's who Peter Pan is. But then what's the restrained version of Peter Pan? And that's who Peter Banning is. And so the fact that Robin Williams can let go and genuinely be a kid again when he's like reintegrates that childhood that he lost towards the end of the movie, it works perfectly. So I want to say that, but oh my gosh, Dustin Hoffman as Hook is the most incredible performance. It's like in my top 5 favorite characters played by a human. Sometimes somebody plays a role and you're like, I cannot see who I think you are playing this role. And there's just a handful of them. We saw it with Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey playing with Joel or whatever his name was. Like, you don't see Jim Carrey anymore. You see the character. And Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, like, you don't see Tom Cruise, you see whatever his character is. Like, he's just a very different person and he plays it right. And then you get like Tim Allen doing Buzz Lightyear. That is not Tim Allen. That's Buzz Lightyear. You know, they just somehow truly become someone else. And Dustin Hoffman is kind of a goofy guy that plays serious roles. Like, he's just kind of a goofy guy and he talks a little funny and stuff like that. And Hook is not that. Somehow, Dustin Hoffman becomes the most incredible version of Hook. And I look at him and I can't even see Dustin Hoffman in his face. Like, he's just become this other person. He is Hook. He's not another actor playing Hook. That's Hook. And I don't know how he did it, but I don't know. Do you guys see this too? Like,
oh no, he completely embodies Hook, and I think he plays it off extremely well. I especially really like kind of his chemistry with Smee. Like that whole like kind of midlife crisis he has before he starts trying to get the kids to love him. Like I absolutely love that whole scene. I actually read a little bit about it. That was the scene where where Dustin Hoffman and Bob Hoskins, they were like, oh, Hook and Smee, they're like an old gay couple that have been married for so long. And like they kind of made that connection together. And I feel like they pulled it off very well in that scene. Like the whole scene of him, about to commit suicide. And he's like, don't try and stop me. Get up and stop me. What are you doing? Don't scare me like this. And then Smee like takes the gun, kisses him on the cheek, and like drags him into bed. And I don't know. It's just, oh, I know. And then right before that, Smee's making that plate of food, and then he's like taking a bite out of everything he puts on the plate. I thought that was really funny.
You know what's so funny about that plate scene to me is that you don't know that he's getting food for Hook. He's just like sneakily like putting food on a plate and taking bites, and then later he hands it to him, and you're like, wait, what?
It's like, what's
so funny? That's such good comedic timing.
But no, yeah, I hope Dustin Hoffman is extremely proud of his performance in that film.
Yeah, this was my first Dustin Hoffman movie ever, so I've been able to go back and I've watched like The Graduate. I've just seen him in some other movies. I watched Midnight Cowboy. So going back and then going forward to this, it makes this role even more impressive, in my opinion. Like it almost makes, like I'm almost surprised that he accepted to be in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
It's a great opportunity. It's a great role, but like it's just like a insane concept. But yeah, he pulled it off. Unbelievable.
You guys ready for a Jungian deep dive?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we got to start with what the original story of Peter Pan is in the first place to set up who these characters are and what that story is. So surface level reading of Peter Pan is, you've got a kid that doesn't want to grow up because being an adult sucks, and Hook embodies that. And the Lost Boys, it's an escape from the drudgery of reality and stuff like that. And so every kid has this magical childhoodness in them, this play that they've got, and they can escape to Neverland, which is not controlled by the same rules, and they can just be a kid as long as they need to and stuff like that. And the Disney version of the story does a pretty dang good job. It's not as dark, but it is like most Disney films. It's not as dark, but it captures, I think, a lot more darker themes than most Disney films do. You've got...
If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, we encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncut, uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon-exclusive episodes, as well as Q&As, video clips, and access to our entire film catalog. It's a lot of fun and a nice way to say thanks for the cost of a cup of coffee every month. Now, back to the show.
Like, Peter Pan's kind of a jerk through all of it. Tinkerbell is like a sassy, jealous girl that tries to like kill Wendy and stuff like that. Captain Hook in that story embodies like... What's interesting about Peter Pan and Captain Hook is that they're mirror characters of each other. Both of them are essentially jaded kids, one that refuses to grow up and one that did grow up poorly and is trying to escape time and the never-ending tick towards death. And so he's aggressive, he's a tyrant, he takes his anger out on... he shadow selves, right? He takes it out on kids and infantilizes kids and himself and his pirates, making them way less mature than they could be if he just actually gave in and integrated into the positive side of growing up, like grew up well instead of fighting it and just trying to capture the youthful imagery. The original Peter Pan, his name Pan is accidental. It's pantheism, which is Pan is the god of everything. And that's who Pan is. Peter Pan is. He's just full of possibilities, and that's truly embodies what children are. Now, Wendy is really interesting in that story because it's her coming of age story. And so she, referencing the Disney movie, she originally lives in the playroom with the younger kids and stuff. That's her bedroom. And her dad is like, you got to grow up someday. And he literally is, Captain Hook in Neverland to her. And so he's the jerk tyrant that's forcing her to grow up. He's obsessed with success. She doesn't want to have anything to do with that, just like Jack doesn't want to have anything to do with Peter Banning in Hook. But she goes to Neverland, and interestingly, she realizes throughout the whole process that, wait a minute, Peter Pan is a jerk. I don't want to be like Peter Pan. I don't want to be adrift like the Lost Boys. And so she becomes the mothering figure throughout that whole story. She's like, brings people to bed, settles the Lost Boys down. She tames Peter Pan. And then Peter Pan is like, kind of likes it because he likes to come visit her and flirt with what would it be like to be an adult and to have stability and stuff like that. But he can't give it in. He can't give into it. So that whole story is Wendy coming home and recognizing, no, I'm not going to grow up like my dad, but I am going to grow up and not perpetually stay an infantile child for the rest of my life. Like, it is valuable to grow up. And that's the whole story. It's a warning about being a perpetual man-child, basically. You can't stay young forever, and if you stay a man-child, you're going to turn into an asshole tyrant when you grow up because you haven't accepted the responsibility and developed the maturity of growing up. Okay, so that's Peter Pan, and it's a very, very well put together symbolic parable of that. In my opinion, it's why it continues to exist because and why it's culturally become a backbone is because it really does capture simultaneously the positive side of being a kid and the negative side of perpetually staying young and trying to stay young. But it more than anything is just a warning. So moving that up to Hook, I think is where it gets really, really cool because the story is that Peter Pan has grown up. He's forgotten what it's like to be a kid. And he grew up badly. He becomes Hook. So in Hook, his parallel, he has two mirror characters. That he has Hook, that's who he is now. And he gets to see all of the tyrant, horrible things that he is. Now, Hook and Peter Banning are both going through a very stereotypical 90s midlife crisis. Both of them snap at kids and are jerks. They're both obsessed with their past or success or something like that, but neither of them are integrated positive role model adults. They both grew up poorly. The other mirror character is Rufio. And Rufio is the logical extension of who would Peter Pan have been if he just continued down that route. He embodies the youthful wildness that the original Peter Pan in the book captured, that the Disney movie kind of tamed out. And they don't really emphasize a ton in Peter Pan as Robin Williams a ton, but Peter Pan is a really wild character on purpose. But Peter Pan came in and decided, like Wendy did in the original story, that, you know what, it is important to grow up. His happy thought, I want to have kids. I want to grow up. I want to be responsible. I want to bring more joy into the world. And so he sacrifices his childhood to grow up, and he just does it poorly. He does it really poorly. And so there's so much symbolism in this movie that's so deep. And like, for example, him forgetting being Peter Pan is a symbol of him forgetting what it's like to be a kid. And the whole theme of Hook is, no, it's not that you give up being a kid. It's that you sacrifice wildness and irresponsibility so that you can be responsible and let other children play and grow and mature too. And that's the healthy expression. And that's what Robin Williams' character has to go through, is he has to remember what it's like to be the beautiful kid and bring that out so that he can connect with and raise kids that don't turn into Hook like he did. And once he integrates, he pendulum swings way too far back and he forgets what it's like to have kids. He forgets what it's like to be a parent again because he needed to fully re-embody what it was like to live fully in that fantasy. Now, Tinkerbell is a really interesting character because she represents this pure fantasy, this dangerous, safe, perfect girlfriend. I mean, she's essentially like the version, like as crass as it is, she's really just like represents the non-committal nature of like porn or something like that. Like you can go in, flirt around, mess around with this girlfriend, non-committal. You can be an ass back to Tinkerbell. She takes it, she throws it back at your face. That's your relationship. You move on. It doesn't matter. But Peter Banning is married and he's got kids and he loves Moira and Moira loves him. And so the Julia Roberts version of Tinkerbell basically evolves into what is the grown version of a little kid's version of porn, like Fantasy Girlfriend. It's the deep affair. She cares about me in a way that Moira doesn't understand. And the fantasy girlfriend is like perfect and fake and like promises like you can come be here and be safe. It's not stressful, stuff like that. You can always come in and have an innocent kiss whenever you want. But then Peter Pan decides, no, this isn't real. I have a real wife who's messy and deals with raising kids in real hard life, and I can't leave her behind and pretend that that's not real. That's what it means to be an adult. So he takes all of the good things about childhood and he brings it back into real life. And he reintegrates his childhood and the responsibility of an adult, and he becomes the quintessential playful, still successful, still loving father. But he no longer snaps at his kids. He throws the corporate phone aside because he knows what's truly important, which is the family dynamics of raising these kids into a better life. And I feel like that is just such a beautiful conclusion to the warning of the original story, and such an important message for, well, honestly, for me, because as like I said, this whole past year and 6 months and stuff has just been like more and more responsibility piled on my shoulders and stuff like that. And everyone's got to go through that as a parent, you know, when you're like, oh crap, you know, like my kid has this like thing that's going to take way more of my time, and I need to sacrifice my selfishness to give to another human so that they can have a full, beautiful life. And I choose to give that to them because I love them that much. And I know you guys, I know your families, I know your experiences. I know you guys go through that. And I go through that too, you know, and seeing that there's this happy medium between the extremes. You know, you don't have to be the asshole tyrant that locks everything down to keep it in control. You don't have to be Hook. You don't have to be Peter Banning. You can be Peter Pan. You can be in the middle. You can play with your kids. You can love them. You can also understand that it's not about you anymore. You chose to have kids. You chose to have kids, and you chose to partner with somebody for the rest of your life to raise these kids. And they've got flaws too, damn it. A lot of flaws. But they're working just as hard as you are to raise these kids. And so they're not lost boys. They're like boys with real father and mother figures that you choose to give them that stability so that they're not wild either. They're not Rufio. They're not someone who is obsessed with the image of fighting against something that defines their entire life. They can look forward to the future and not be afraid of growing up because you're a good role model for them, because you chose to show them that being an adult doesn't suck. It's a shift in responsibility. That's why this movie I cried so hard throughout this movie because it's just this whole story of Peter Pan is so deep. When you look beyond the casual viewing and you look through like what are the not even subtly portrayed symbols, and what is this parable teaching, and both the warning and the hopeful conclusion I think are both beautiful elements that we can incorporate and just be better humans because of it.
Totally. Dude, that is awesome. I wrote down just these other like hidden themes that like I did not catch when I was younger, but I wrote down like the power of believing, having gratitude or just thinking about your happy thoughts, finding the hero inside yourself, being parents, all that stuff. But something you said about like sacrificing your wildness, and it made me think of like in the beginning of the movie, Peter Banning, he's just like a failing father.
He's so uptight. He's
like
such a jerk.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He misses everything.
No,
Yeah, he's too busy to make it to his son's Santa Series baseball tournament. He sends someone to go film for him. He misses it, and then he arrives, and he's so late that he doesn't even realize that the game's been over for, it looks like, a while.
Yeah, that was a big one. What was it? The scene that also hit me really hard in terms of what you're talking about right now is when Moira finally grabs his phone and chucks it out the window. I'm just like, dude,
Yeah.
like to hit that point where your wife has to do that, like you know you've gone off the deep end and you need to come back.
I love that scene and Robin Williams' performance during that scene because he's hot. He's hot and bothered right there. And I know what I feel like when I'm hot and bothered and I'm like yelling match with my wife, right? And my wife, you guys, your sister does not back down. You know this. And
It's true.
like both of us are stubborn and both of us love each other a lot and neither of us want to be hot and bothered. But when we do, like, we're on it. Like, we're hardcore at each other. And the fact that she threw his phone out the window in, like, a desperate, angry move, and he looks at her and, like, manically, like, laughs at her.
Yeah.
I was like, I've been there.
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
what that feeling is. Like, whoa, I can't even, like I could, like, punch something right now. And it's like your brain, like, short circuits. Like Robin Williams captured that so well, and I was like, I don't associate Robin Williams with serious roles, and even this role is not a super serious role, but he's a seriously good actor, and he captured it.
He is. On top of the failing father stuff, but like when Maggie draws a picture of the airplane,
Dude,
just crashing, and then on top of, like, he can't get his kid to, like, stop banging on the window, and he's like, don't get up there, you'll break your neck, and always shut the door, you'll fall out of here. Our windows at home have bars on them and all this stuff. And so the main idea that I took from all this is that, like, being a father isn't about just the biology of it, but it's about being there, creating shared memories. The part of it where he loses his kids and then he's sitting there with Rufio and his dying words are, I wish I had a dad like you. His son Jack is right there. He hears him say that, and it kind of, like, helps him snap out of his, like, brainwash. And he's like, Dad, I want to go. And he, like, takes his wig off and his hat. Dude, that part, that part got me.
hits.
That got me hard.
really hits. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. But dude, everything you're saying, Scott, that is, like, I never thought about it, how it all works like that. It's really cool.
Golden.
There's a lot of thought that went into this.
Okay, Rand, I need your help here. I'm trying to remember who did this. Did you draw that photo of the airplane and everyone jumping out with the parachutes when you were a kid?
Yeah, like I remember doing that.
Okay,
for sure.
so either you drew it and I took it from you, or I drew my own. But I distinctly remember having drawn that photo, and I labeled everyone's names in our family, and I used to erase the person who didn't have the parachute, depending on who I was mad at, and it was either you or Paige, like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But I just remember being like,
coolest
man,
thing ever.
I was like, Ren's being an asshole. Erase Paige's name, write Ren there, and put Paige with a parachute. I remember doing that.
like a voodoo artist.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
No, that's really how it felt.
Guys, I'm gonna do a deep dive on insult fights because I was
Yes.
like, this is the stupidest '90s culture thing, and I'm gonna preface this with I stand absolutely freaking corrected. I'm not gonna do any justice. I'm just gonna read you what I found out. This is an output when I was like, what is happening here, and why is this such a cultural thing from AI? I'm just gonna read it, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So this is basically a stylized, family-friendly version of Playing the Dozens, which is a classic African-American oral tradition and competitive game of ritualized verbal insult trading. Two players, usually young men, often with an audience egging them on, go back and forth hurling increasingly clever, exaggerated, and personal put-downs, most famously yo mama jokes, until one person cracks up, runs out of comebacks, or the crowd declares a winner. The insults are meant to be over the top and playful, even if they sound brutal, testing wit, composure, and verbal agility rather than starting a fight. The practice has deep roots in African verbal dueling traditions, seen in Nigeria, Ghana, and among Bantu and Kissi peoples, where boys ritually insult each other's mothers. It crossed the Atlantic with the slave trade and evolved in African American communities as a survival skill and social glue. Psychologically and culturally, it's tender trash talk, a way to build resilience, displace real aggression, strengthen friendships, and prove you can take a hit without folding. As one scholar put it, it's a mean game on the surface, but underneath, it's community building oral art that turns survival skills into play. Freak, guys. I stand so corrected. I was like, bro, dang it.
I love it. No, so it's like celebrity roast. It's like rap battles. It's like that. That's so funny.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly the lineage you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love this scene just overall because, I mean, well, of course, because it's the moment that, you know, Peter finally realizes like, oh, like I can unlock all of this with my imagination. I can break through this kind of character I've created through Peter Banning. And they set it up really well that Peter is like not an imaginative person. He's really shoved down who he used to be when he lived in Neverland. I think the peak moment for that is when he's tucking Maggie into bed and she goes, hey, Toodles made me this flower. You want to smell it? And he goes, oh, it's just paper, honey, and just like shoves it away. And I'm like, bro, it's your daughter. Smell the damn flower and say it smells well, you know? And then so to go from that to this moment when he finally makes it all click in his head, he engages in that verbal battle and then he finally sees the food that's on the table, which by the way, none of it looks that amazing. Maybe the frosting like pudding, that looked kind of good, but like they're going through it. I'm just like, none of this looks all that tasty. I don't know what it was. Yeah. But like, they have like kumquats in there and like they have all these like vegetables.
Of the giant piece of cheese that says mud butt on it, that was pretty funny. Yeah, but mostly the bird.
Mm-hmm.
Whipped cream being colored sounds cool. I don't know. I went to a splatter party party the other week, and I don't know, it reminded me of that. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty fun, wasn't it? Well, did you guys have a favorite insult from that little battle they had?
Nearsighted gynecologist. That's hilarious.
That was Peter's insults were pretty dang like, wow, that is how an adult would insult someone.
I want to believe that Rufio's insults were scripted and Robin Williams came up with them on the spot.
I almost guarantee that. I would bet money that they just like, hey, Robin, go, and he just went for it. Like there's probably a whole like I bet they have like an hour of him just coming up with insults all the time.
I mean, if you've ever watched any of his stand-up comedy, which if you haven't, please do. That's basically what his stand-up comedy is. You're like, you're high, you're just tripping out, and everything you say is the funniest rapid fire thing I've ever heard in my life.
My favorite one is substitute chemistry teacher. Yeah, and his friend's like, come on, Rufio, you can do it back. Like stumps him. That part's really funny.
Well, yeah, it's just like he's come up with these lame ones, and then he says that, and of course that's the one that's like, oh man, whoa, he's got fire,
Trips
you know? It's so awesome.
All right, so the other thing that I was like, why, watching this, I was through the critical lens, I was like, what is up with the 90s like finale fight where all of the kids get their hockey gear on and then they get a bunch of super soakers and put together the Rube Goldberg booby traps to fight the stupid adults.
Dude,
where did this come from?
It's so fun. It's fun.
100 and let me clarify, it's perfect and it works. But I was like, this is so 90s. And just looking at it through the lens through the 90s cool kid thing, I was like, this is like every single movie from this era. Where did this come from? It's got the Home Alone, you've got Mighty Ducks, you've got like so many made for TV family movies were this. Sandlot, they're building up the machines in their backyard to launch them over the fence, which we'll talk about next week. Like, this is the most 90s trope, and where did it come from?
You know what? Okay, so the first one I thought of was Home Alone. And it's like, oh, that's like every kid's dream, you get to like booby trap your house and stop bad guys from coming in. Like, it's such a video game. That's really cool. And then I was thinking about, and I'm wondering if Hook is like one of the first ones where something like this occurs, Like, because this one came out in 91. I don't know when Home Alone came out. I can't remember.
1990.
1990? Maybe
Yeah.
Home Alone is one of the first ones where it's like
Home Alone is the first one.
interesting. Yeah.
And the Super Soakers. So Nickelodeon was a thing. So colored liquid was a thing,
Uh-huh.
right? Because early Nickelodeon. Then the Super Soaker was invented in 1989. It was released in 1990. And it took over the world in 1 year. And Spielberg, on record, was like, how do we turn the Lost Boys, and they're going out with bows and arrows and stuff like that in the woods, how do we modernize that into a modernized exact version of what kids actually do today so that the kids will love the Lost Boys because they relate to them? And so they did the hockey gear nonsense that everyone's got there, because the rollerblades and hockey gear were taking over street hockey in the streets. Super Soakers came out, Home Alone came out, and that is literally the entire final fight. Everything amazing that kids did outside in the 90s in the summer.
Also, did you guys ever play the Hook Super Nintendo game?
Oh man.
No.
Okay. So,
No.
Okay. Oh, you should. It's a genuinely great game, and I love the fact that there's that scene when he first lands with the Lost Boys, and as he's running through everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the skateboarders. I remember trying to beat them in the video game, and that was really hard. And like Rufio going around on his little like pirate ship thing on that track around the whole place. Like I remember
you mean
fighting
like
him on
yeah.
that.
You mean like the Foot Clan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1?
Exactly like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Now, my little story about this game was I remember playing when I was a kid, and I actually played it pretty recently. For some reason, I didn't realize you could fly in that game. Like you see, the way you
Push
did
A
it.
twice.
Yeah, you had to like double tap right and then like double jump or something, and then you could fly, and you had a meter so you couldn't fly forever. And I never knew that when I was a kid. And I just distinctly remember being like, how am I supposed to get up there? There's no way I can jump that high.
The soundtrack, I mean, it's basically John Williams, but like in a
Perfection.
Super Nintendo filter. Yeah, it's like pretty
Pure
pretty awesome.
perfection. Yeah, no, highly recommend that video game.
There's a movie prop that I found online. I didn't know if it existed, but okay, so Thud Butt, the big kid, there's a part where they remember his like legs come up and he grabs his own legs and they like roll him down the like plank. That was a movie prop, and I just Google imaged it, and it's like sitting in like a glass case, and it looks so funny.
Dodger died when he started rolling down the planks to like bowl people over.
Yeah.
Dodger like collapsed on the floor, just like he was literally rolling on the floor laughing. It was like the literal funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life was when Thudbutt does that.
I love it. That's so funny.
So I just got a couple random notes here to do before we close out. I really feel like this movie set up the fact that curveballs would be impossible to hit. Like I really thought, like if you threw a curveball, like there's no way you're hitting it. It was pretty traumatizing as a kid who played baseball. The moment when I like the fact that when his kids are up in that what is it? They're on the pirate ship. They're all tangled up in that rope, and he's like, "Hey, get up there and touch your kids, and then you can go home." And when he's up there trying to reach for his kids, and like even the pirates down there are like, "Oh, this guy's broken. Like this guy is not the Peter Pan we used to know." And they all like feel bad for him that he can't reach out and touch his kids. And then just to put a little extra kick in there, Maggie's like, "Come on, mommy could do it." I just died at that line.
I'm
so
so
funny.
scared of heights that hit me really too close to home.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the scene with the sniffing flowers. I thought that was really weird, and I was like, okay, you could just cut that. Like, we don't need a scene of a flower sniffing Robin Williams' crotch. Like, we'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I gotta add his little painted nipples. I got my happy thought. He's just jiggling up and down, and he's just like got a jiggly happy face on his stomach. That was hilarious.
They shaved him for that shot because
easy.
Robin Williams is the hairiest guy on earth, and they're like, we can't get this paint on.
Well, it would have been
Gotta
rated
shave
R,
you.
so they had to bring it back down to PG.
There we go.
Yeah. I had a note. The very opening, there's the first shot in the entire film is of the kids watching the play in the school. The first kid it shows is you, Harrison.
Yeah, I know.
You need to watch it.
No, I saw.
I was like, oh, that's him.
I saw it and I clocked it, and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm not gonna show up.
I have one note, and then I'll be done. But when Robin Williams is drunk alone up in the room, he like bumps into the cradle and he says sorry. That part made me laugh.
I like the fact that Peter walked over the line that Rufio drew first.
Oh man!
He's like, if you don't believe that this guy's Peter Pan, walk over here, and he just instantly walks over. I'm like, I get you, man. I feel that. I like that Smee uses his earwax to like straighten up Hook's mustache at one point. That was disgusting, but so funny.
Oh man, the built-in red carpet down the stairs.
No, I was just about to say that. No, the biggest like diss in this whole film is when Peter lands at the bottom of the stairs and Hook like smacks the side of that post, and then the red carpet retracts. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. That's a good diss. I like it. I like the scene when they first show up at Wendy's house, and he's like, "All right, everybody, let's get let's sit up straight, spit out that gum. This is the land of good manners." And Toodles opens up the door and he's like, "It's snowing!" Like slams the door. And then Liza opens up and just screams, grabs Jack by the scarf, and just like yanks him inside the house. It was just a really good little comedic moment there.
So mentioned this when we were on our Don Bluth deep dive, but Michael Jackson was in conversation.
I was hoping you'd bring this up.
Was in conversation with Steven Spielberg back in the early 80s. And Don Bluth had just left Disney and was working on The Secret of NIMH and was really financially strapped. And there was this like this never-ending thread of like, oh, Spielberg really wants to work with you. He really wants to do an animated movie with you. And so NIMH had come out, Spielberg watched it, Jackson watched it. Independently, Jackson and Michael Jackson and Steven Spielberg were in talks about doing a Peter Pan movie. And so Michael Jackson had this apparently very quirky habit of calling people in the middle of the night at like 1 or 2 in the morning and just being like, "Hey, hello. I want to talk about ideas with you." And so he called up Don Bluth and was like, "Hey, this is Michael Jackson. I want to talk to you. I loved Secrets of NIMH. We should work together." And he's like, "What the freak is happening?" Like, "No, you're not." He's like, "Yeah, I'm Michael Jackson. Here, let's have a conversation tomorrow. I'll have somebody come pick you up." And so the next morning, someone came to his house studio and it was a limo. And like security officers came out, patted him down, and like got him in the limo. And he's like, "I'm being kidnapped. I'm gonna die." They brought him to this like back lot of a warehouse and went in, and like more security guards there and everything. And he went in, and there was Michael Jackson. He's like, "Hey man, like let's just talk about ideas for movies and stuff." Invited him to Neverland Ranch. Apparently, Michael Jackson, surprise, surprise, not at all, was really obsessed with the boy never growing up trope of Peter Pan. In fact, named his ranch after it. And Jackson really wanted Steven Spielberg to make it an animated movie or a live action movie with animated parts over it. And Jackson wanted to star as Peter Pan. Surprise, surprise, also not surprised. And obviously that fell through and whatnot. And Michael Jackson and Don Bluth never worked together, but originally this movie started out as a Michael Jackson Spielberg collaboration that went through several iterations across 10 years until it became a lawyer who lost his panhood and had to get it back. There you go. Fun story.
There you go.
I also read that I think like a week or two before production began, Spielberg wanted it to be like a musical. Which kind of explains why there are some songs that are, I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was I wonder if Michael Jackson wanted it to be a musical also.
Probably. I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Probably.
Here, my last note, and then I got to wrap up. But I just like the prayer they say before dinner. Everybody say grace. Bless us, O Lord. Grace. Grace. They just go for it.
I thought that's
actually,
what
I
Grace
say that
meant.
pretty often. Yeah, no,
You know,
me
like,
too.
I did too.
I totally 100% thought that.
We were all raised LDS, and there's a very specific pattern to an LDS prayer over your food before dinner. Dear Heavenly Father, please bless the food. Thank you for my family. Please bless so and so they don't die. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what grace was, so this is my introduction to grace. It was just holding hands, yelling grace, and then digging in.
I love it.
Yeah,
man.
I remember being really jealous. I was like, man, I wish prayers were that short. That'd be nice. Okay, I have a voicemail to play for you guys.
Okay.
Hello, Cinema Slime podcast listeners. I'm Talia, big fan of the show. I listen to every episode. I feel like there were kids that growing up they read books and played sports. I grew up just only watching movies. When I think of childhood, I just think of our living room, and I think of watching movies, the same movie, just over and over again in the living room, and playing with toys, but mostly just watching movies. And one of those movies I remember watching over and over again was Hook. I always think it's very weird when I talk to other people my age and they don't know what Hook is. I'm pretty sure I watched Hook before I ever even watched the original animated Peter Pan. So when I think of Peter Pan, I think of Hook. And I think it's weird that other people don't have that same experience. But I think it is such a well done film. I remember watching it as an adult a few years ago, and it was so nostalgic to watch and so enjoyable. And I mean, Robin Williams is just, Robin Williams. He's just the best. When I think of it, I think of the design of it. I remember Tinkerbell. I remember the dress she wears at some point, and it's just so beautiful and sparkly. The treehouse that the Lost Boys sleep in. Peter's with the Lost Boys, and they're playing basketball and skateboarding, and then they're playing baseball in one scene. And I thought I would list some of the slimiest scenes, and I haven't watched it all in years, so this is just slimiest scenes, the ones that have really stuck with me, that when I think of Hook that I think of. I remember the scene when Hook comes to Peter's house with his kids. There's a hook that keeps the balcony door closed, and it's slowly lifting up, and then the thing, the mobiles things are spinning above their bed, and then their bed sheets lift up into the air. I remember feeling very it was a very ominous feeling watching that, and I remember it scared me when I was little. So that just tells you that I didn't watch Alien and The Shining like Scott did when he was little.
What?
I watched Disney, so but I remember that scaring me when I was a kid, and it has stuck with me. I also remember thinking the mermaid scene was so I remember thinking those mermaids were so cool and beautiful, and thinking I want to be just like those mermaids with
so
their
funny.
pink,
They freaked me
with
out.
their red and blue and green hair, and how they just have glitter on their face. I was that's the goal. The last thing I'll say is the music in particular. There's a song on the score called You Are the Pan, I think. And there's this melody that is just so emotional for me and beautiful. And it's the da 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 da, that melody, and it's just so beautiful. One of the best parts of Hook. Hook is a great movie, and I don't think my husband has seen it, which is really sad. Maybe he has. But
Disown
I'm
him.
sure he hasn't seen it in a long time, so we are going to rewatch it at some point soon so that he can experience it.
I texted her. I was like, "That's grounds for divorce." Like, he needs to see it.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah,
That was
thanks
awesome.
for the voicemail,
That's
Talia.
good.
Yeah, that was
We can do
awesome.
more of those for sure.
Definitely.
Here, I'm gonna go into my slimy scenes and my ratings. So
Let's do it.
So the one scene that we didn't mention, and it kind of stuck with me this time around, was there's a scene right after the food fight where Thud goes up to Peter and is like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And they're talking about Toodles and they're talking about his marbles and they're laughing that like, "Oh, he lost his marbles." And then Peter asks him like, "Oh, what's your happy thought, Thud?" And he goes, "Mine's my mother." And I don't know what it was, but I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, why did that hit me so freaking hard?
And the way he says it, it's just like you're the perfect human right now.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny because when you think about it, it's like, oh, these are lost boys. They're here because they don't want to grow up and they want to stay as children. And then his thought of like, no, my mother's my happy thought. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Like maybe he would leave if he could, or or something like that. I don't know. It hit me kind of hard. In terms of my rating for this, look, okay. When people give this a rating of like a 3.5, I'm gonna be like, hey, I get it. There's some messy stuff. They could have cleaned this up. I would love for someone to do another pass of this film and just guzzy it up and make the sets look just a little bit better and cut out some scenes that didn't need to it, or maybe shorten the ones that are a little too long. But for me, this is a 4.5, and the only reason it's not a 5 is because the movie is a little long. Like it's almost 2.5 hours, if I'm recalling correctly. And I don't remember that as a kid. I remember it being a lot shorter. But I was like, I don't know if this movie justifies being 2.5 hours.
There are so many freaking good scenes in this movie. Yeah, like the first thing that comes to mind, but I'm not going to pick it officially. But yeah, we talked about the boo box.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think about that almost immediately when I see like anything to do with this movie. Just as a kid, that was really upsetting.
The boo box.
I'm going to like when he first learns how to fly.
Yeah.
He regains his memory of being a father, and that's his happy thought. I think that's probably my slimiest scene. But I'm not gonna pick that one. I'm gonna pick the one where Peter Pan's about to leave and he has the sword and he's kind of like, who's he gonna give it to? And I really wish Rufio never died and he would have got it.
Yeah.
But he did die. But it was really awesome to find out that this part was improvised.
Mm-hmm.
None of the cast members, the Lost Boys, knew who was going to get the sword. So when he gives it to Thudbutt, that's his like genuine reaction and his smile. And I was like, dude, that's kind of magical.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my slimiest scene. I'll pick that. As far as ratings go, yeah, this is a 3.5 with a very big heart next to it.
Yeah. I get that.
But yeah, a little bit long. It kind of doesn't fall apart, but I think the first, like everything up to Neverland, which is very apparent that Spielberg had a really strong grasp and like storyboarded everything up to that point. It's very apparent. Then it kind of gets all messy, and then the ending's weird. By the way, I hate that the crocodile just falls on him, belches, and then like somehow digested Captain Hook. I don't like that at all. I thought that was lazy even as a kid. But yeah, I guess they just had to make do with what they had at the time. I think they were kind of running short on budget and time and everything. But yeah, I'm gonna go with a 3.5. Strong love for this movie.
In defense for Rufio dying, it's kind of following the psychological theme. Rufio is his past self that he needed to let go of. He needed to kill off his selfish wild side so he could reintegrate. And notice as soon as Rufio dies, that's when he integrates his wild side back again through the mature lens and applying that to being a good father. So symbolically needed to happen. Also sad to see Rufio go. I agree with that. I agree with everything that you said. And also, yeah, I mean, this is one of those movies that I kind of wish that I could see straight without the nostalgia and the history. This is just a movie that's just always kind of existed. So I can honestly tell you what is the slimiest scene to me because I've thought about it my entire life. And it's the combination of Toodles saying he's lost his marbles, crawling around on the floor, and then that conversation that you brought up, Harrison, of Thudbutt, going, here's Toodles' marbles. And he's like, he really did lose his marbles. Yeah, he did. And just like how joyful and revelatory that was, that Toodles is not this crazy old man, but he's just one of the lost boys, and he's sweet and he's innocent just like the other lost boys are. I love that line, and I have way more times than I care to admit when someone's knocked on the door, I've opened the door, yelled it's snowing, and slammed the door on them. And I have in fact crawled around the floor, and when somebody asked me what I was doing, I said, I've lost my marbles. I've done that because it's very funny to me. So that's my slimiest scene. If I had to pick a non-nostalgic slimy scene, the one that I was like, what the freak watching this time? It would be a really strong split between Hook about to commit suicide. I was like, this is dark. And then the other one was the school scene where Hook is trying to convince Maggie and Jack that parents are bad. And it's one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen as an adult, trying to like connect with kids. Like, it's not super funny. It's just like, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. Like, I understand why this is bad. But as an adult, I'm like, this is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Toodles marble though, but I just had to throw in my follow-ups.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's great.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5. And I think that this movie is really deep. It's surprisingly so. A lot of that is the lineage that it carries from the original Peter Pan, which I've had a lot of respect for a lot of years. I didn't do this research about the original Peter Pan for this movie. This is stuff that I've just carried with me for a lot of years. And so it was cool to rewatch Hook through that lens and kind of extend it to I don't know, hopefully add a little bit of intellectual contribution to the Peter Pan story as a conclusion to the original Warning. I think my only flaws with this movie, like with Power Rangers, there are things that it's like all of these flaws make this movie perfect. Most of the flaws in this movie are perfect for this movie. But I just think all of the Julia Roberts scenes and her role as a character and the performance and just the technical issues, the green screen and her just being in a really crappy place in life. I think that whole story thread and everything is just the weakest link, that another month or two of polish without scrapping and rewriting to match the crappy place that she was in life would have made this a 5 for me. But that whole Tinkerbell stuff is really the weakest link to me.
Yeah, it was great. Next week we got Sandlot, which means it's officially baseball season in this house.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that.
Good night, Neverland.
Right.
All right, peace out.
Peace.
That's a wrap on another episode of Cinema Slime. Be sure to watch the next film before next Wednesday. We had a blast and hope you enjoyed it. This episode was a production by your hosts, Harrison Jensen, Ren Jensen, and Scott Shepard. This is a group effort, and seriously, thank you. Thank you for listening and watching us however you found us. We really appreciate it. Help us grow by leaving a comment, a 5-star review, subscribe, and share an episode with another cinema lover. Also, let's connect. Find us on Discord and Letterboxd for film discussions, reviews, and recommendations. Also, check us out on social media. We're always posting clips, film rabbit holes we're going down, and interesting stuff. And you can also show your support by using Buy Me a Coffee, and we'll give you a shout out if you'd like. All links can be found in the episode notes. Goodbye.